Okay, so here I am doing a sample reading, so you kind of get to see what the one-on-one readings are like. And what I'm going to do is a reading for myself, a relationship reading, because these are very common in the readings that I do. So this is pretty much what a relationship reading would look like, or whatever fucking reading really, if I were doing one for you or for whoever. So I'm not currently in a relationship, and that is one of the things that I would ask of the person as I'm setting out the cards to sort of see what to focus in on, you know. So let's see if there's something around the corner, which would be nice, or if I am doomed. Random word, baseball, random number, 72. So I do this random word and number thing. I do this if we're doing an in-person reading, then I will ask that of the person while I shuffle the cards. And I find that it really helps the person who is spitting out the random words to sort of tune in to what is happening within themselves. All right, so we'll give them the old Kutski. All right. So the root card is the world. Now, actually, if I'm doing this reading for a person, I'm not going to go into what this means yet. We're going to put out the cards first. All right. So the root card is down here. It is the world. Now, the root card and the card in this position, it basically shows the real energy that's happening. And then this shows up this way. So we get the world, and the world is essentially about one chapter of life being over. It's like you've learned as much as you can from the current chapter of life, and it's kind of time to move on to the next thing, realizing how much stronger you are now than you were before or when you started on this journey. The last card of tarot, that means the Fool has been all the way through their journey, and this is like sort of a completion. So it means that you are ready to level up and that you've kind of completed the stage, completed the chapter, the level, whatever. So in that respect, in my case for a relationship reading, and I haven't been in a relationship for a while, so this is pretty much saying that in my solitude, I have kind of learned all I can learn. So in this context, it would mean that I pretty much would need a relationship to, well, I shouldn't say that, but I'm ready to move on to the next chapter of my life. But since the last chapter was pretty much marked by solitude, we'll say that there's going to be a relationship in the next chapter. So, for me, this is kind of good news. Now, the way that I do these, past, present, future. Past, present, future. Now, what tends to happen, I'm going to pull these back a little bit here. So this tends to be the material axes. This tends to be the spiritual axes. And this last card up here, this is what I call a beacon card, and it's basically like at any point in time, when in doubt, remember this. Okay, now in past energy, we've got a combination of these two. So we have the reverse Two of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. Now, the Two of Cups would be really good if it showed up, in the future stuff. But the Two of Cups is romance and harmony. This is basically the energy of a first date. Now, the Two of Cups reversed, these two people are thinking too much about what happened in the past or what happens in the future, and they're not being in the moment. And this shows my inability to be in the moment and to let it flow in the past. Now, that is combined with a Five of Pentacles, and the Five of Pentacles is really about feeling judged and about not really feeling like you belong. So we've got this combination. I mean, there's also financial insecurity that shows up in the Five of Pentacles. All of these things are true. So we have a combination of not being able to just be present in the moment, as well as feeling uniquely judged and just not having a great sense of belonging. So this fades and moves forward and is replaced. We keep having the Page of Wands that's trying to fall down here. So it's replaced by the current energy, which is the Nine of Cups. Now, the Nine of Cups essentially shows confusion, but it's confusion because there are so many options that it's hard to know what to do. So here the person summons a genie, and the genie shows up, and he's like, you can have whatever you want. So what do you want? And the person is just like, I don't know. And the important thing in the nine is to choose one of the cups, because otherwise it's an opportunity that is just missed. Here, it's like 1,000 opportunities. So as I do this reading for myself, it's basically saying try not to get confused on how many options there are, although currently it feels like there are 0. This is just saying when there is an option, don't be afraid to take it. Now, as it moves forward, momentum takes me to the reversed Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles, this is a witch practicing witchcraft, and it really talks about learning by doing, cultivating your skill, all of this sort of thing. And it's really spending the time in whatever it is that you're trying to learn, or the craft that you're trying to learn, really learning by doing. Now, this is when there isn't the time or space to practice the thing that you're trying to get really good at. Already, other than this one, as we look at the cards that are in here, none of these are specifically relationship cards, right? So if a person comes to me and this is the deal, it's like, look, the things that are fucked up are different things. They're not necessarily relationship things. And this would also say that maybe the key to finding a relationship is just by doing this other stuff. And then it should automatically happen. Down here, again, it's about allowing the last chapter of your life to be over with, and I have been alone for a while. So this would be like you have to allow that shit to be done with, which can be tricky, because especially misery is something that people tend to claim as their own. And it's like, well, then they don't know any other reality. And when they're faced with another reality, they might not want to accept it. because that's familiar and they think that that's just the way it is. Anyway, so all of this energy is meant to bring this out. And we get a Page of Wands. Now, the Page of Wands is very uniquely creative, and they do things in very strange ways. Like here, the page has to cross this icy pond, and they use these stilts to do it. And anyone else would be like, "You're fucking crazy. That's not going to work. You're going to fall down." But the page believes in themselves, and they know that this method works for them. So here, I mean, especially when we go back and look at the way that I had been feeling uniquely judged, the Page of Wands doesn't give a shit if people are judging them. The Page of Wands is a bold little kid who doesn't give a shit if people don't believe in them. They believe in themselves, and that's all that they need. So he succeeds as he's going across this, and other people are like, "You couldn't possibly do that. That's not how it works." But the page is like, "Get bent, I'm going to do this." Now, the beacon card is here, and it says, when in doubt, remember this. So the Three of Wands is about a slow building relationship. And this is about patience and nurturing. Now, this is true about me. Patience is not always my thing. And the older I get, the more I work on this within myself, but I am historically not the most patient, especially when it comes to relationships, because of this thing that I feel inside me that says, like, if it's not happening right now, it'll never happen, and like, I'm old and ugly and I'm gonna die, all of this stuff. So the Three of Wands is saying, when in doubt, remember, just like here we have this energy that is flowing from the umbilical cord. This is about patience and nurturing. Now, this mask is the territorial defensive mask, and that's what they use to ward off predators and stuff. And that shit's turned backwards. And all that is exposed is tenderness and warmth and patience. And these things just slowly grow. And eventually they open up. And here it is blessed by the moon. But the Three of Wands in this context is saying that there are connections, and these connections just need patience and nurturing, and they will grow slowly and organically, I guess, would be the right word. So if someone came to me with this, it's saying, believe in yourself, and you do have connections and relationships already that you have to treat with patience and nurturing, and they are flowers that will open slowly. This is a more material thing, right? And this is like not being able to get better at the things that you're trying to get better at. Now, what I would do, because that seems a little out of place in this reading, so I would just pull one more card to see why this is or what I could do about it. So I'm going to do that now. Why is that 7 upside down? We get 2. So we get a King of Cups and a Knight of Wands. That is a fascinating combination. Now, the Knight of Wands is very impulsive, and this is a card of journeying. And there might be a hint of that here, too, with this ship in the background. But the King of Cups is the emotional merchant. And the King of Cups isn't giving emotional energy into anything that isn't giving them back at least as much. And that's why the King of Cups is so emotionally rich, we'll say. Now, the way that I would read this is there might be some weird emotional drain in trying to learn the things that you're trying to learn where it isn't really giving you back enough, and that could emotionally fuck you up enough that you might not be okay for a relationship because you're trying to make this work, you know? And you might have to accept that there's just a period of time when you don't really get to learn all the things that you want to learn. There's also a bit of like traveling in here that I would get out of the Knight of Wands. And in my specific case, this makes a lot of sense. This is a little blurrier, but I guess time will tell, right? So, accept the fact that the chapter of your life that you're living is you've juiced that orange, and as you move forward, just try to make sure that you are believing in yourself. Don't be afraid to actually take one of the cups, and you have connections that just need time and nurturing and patience. And don't get too fucking pissed if you don't get to master the crafts that you're trying to master. So, this is an example, and then I would also field questions from the people. And if I field too many questions from myself, then I might start to lose my mind. So, um, this is an example of the type of reading that you would get from me, and this is a pretty good example of a relationship reading. My life is a little weird, so there are more common cards that would come out in other people's relationship readings, but this is an example of it, and yeah, that's where we're at.